Hey, what is up guys? Randy here. Today we're going to be talking about light and how it's the one thing that if you get right is going to take your images to a whole nother level. So let's get into it. So if we look at the word photography, we can split it up into its two little sections, photo and graphy. And photo actually means light and graph means something drawn or written in Greek. So if we want to produce the best images, we want to be getting the best kind of light. That's kind of where it all hinges. If you have good light, and obviously you have composition and your subject, but really it all starts with the light. If you have bad light, no amount of composition or angles is really going to make up for it, because the light is just not going to be there, and that's really the root of it all. So if you want to start getting better and better images, you want to start shooting in better and better light. There's just two different types of light. There's harsh light and then there is soft light. So harsh light you typically get during the middle of the day. It's when you have the sun's kind of overhead, or you have some bright light overhead and it's just hitting you or hitting your subject. You'll see that maybe half of their face, or if you shoot it from behind them, you'll see that the shadows are just really defined, and there's a lot of contrast, which is pretty much the defining characteristic of hard light. And if you take a look at another portrait that's been taken under soft light, which is like sunset, where the sun's light is being diffused by the atmosphere and kind of creating this massive softbox effect and then giving you a whole lot of colors, you're going to see that difference immediately, even if it's the same subject. If you want to start taking better and better photographs, start shooting at better and better times of day, or start using certain elements to get that softer light effect. If you're shooting portraits, you can find a wall to bounce the light off of and have that illuminate them rather than the actual sun. So you would have the wall, the sun, and then your subject here, and if you can get that light to bounce off, that wall would act as a diffuser, just kind of like the atmosphere does during sunset or sunrise, or kind of like a diffuser does on a flash. So to start taking better photographs, one, start shooting during sunrise or sunset or the golden hours. There's about an hour between when the sun sets or sun rises that you get that really crisp golden light that's being diffused by the atmosphere, and that's really when you're going to get the best photographs that you possibly can. So if you want to up your photo game, start trying that, start trying to go closer to those times. And if you're still wanting to go out during the middle of the day, start looking for, some shades, some walls, some windows that you can shoot through. And if you look right now, I'm shooting through a window. So the sun is kind of higher up in the air right now, but it's being reflected off of this building back here, and then it's coming through my window. And you can see that it's kind of a softer light. If this were a more harsh direct light source, this half of my face, even though it's in a little bit of shadow now, and you can see that it starts to kind of drop off around here, you would just see a clear defined line if this was a harder light source, and this wouldn't look nearly as good. To up your Instagram game, to up your photo game, the number one tip is to start shooting during sunrise, sunset. Start using walls, start using diffusers if you have any. You can use sheets, you can use cardboard. You just don't want that harsh light because it comes through onto your sensor, and it's just it doesn't look good. And as much as you can try to kind of bring it back in post, and some people do a pretty good job, it's never going to look as good because the light was never as good to begin with. And that's all we're doing, is we're capturing that light onto our sensor and then making images and then making our tweaks as we go on Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever you use. But at the beginning of that is the actual light, and we can't forget about that. As much as we want the new equipment, we want the newer cameras. Every year there's new cameras coming out with these just amazing sensors. We can't forget that at the end of the day we are capturing light, and if we want to do it properly, we have to go out and we have to shoot with the best possible light, or the equipment isn't going to matter because you're not even going to be maximizing it because you're not shooting at the best times of day to capture the best type of light. So that's pretty much it. That's the one tip that I can give you guys to really up that photo game and that Instagram game immediately. If you start taking pictures during this time of day, you'll see an improvement in just how they look and how they're being rendered. So go out, take some shots. I would love if you guys send me some and maybe give me some feedback, and I would really appreciate it. Until next time.